Come on now. There we go. There we go. We are live. Welcome back to Hey Dry Picks. We got a lot to talk about. Got some action going on a little bit before UFC 286. Colby Covington, I guess, is the backup. So what does that mean? And then we're going to go over all the fights. If you want my bets, you can get them in the link in the description. They're super cheap. We've been on a run the past few weeks, so feeling excited about that, looking to stay hot. But we'll go over the card, and if anyone jumps in here and gives or asks any questions, I'll try to answer as best as I can. But man, 15 fights tomorrow. I'm planning on streaming the main card here on YouTube just to give some analysis or my reaction to it. So if you're watching this and you want to tune into that, I'll be looking to get on here for the main card. So excited for that. 15 fights though, man. That's a jam-packed day. And it's an early start here in the U.S. So kind of excited about that, kind of not, because it's an early morning. You don't got to wait all day, but at the same time, you don't have as much time to prepare everything. So you got to get up early and get all the stuff out. So we'll start with Colby Covington weighing in. Nobody really knew what was going on. There was rumors that he was the backup, and then one of the reporters asked Leon and Kamaru at the press conference, they're like, are you aware that Colby Covington is here and that he could possibly be here and that he's the backup for the fight? Neither of them knew about it. And then this morning, he walks in, weighs in, makes weight at 170. So what does that mean, man? Well, if you watched the last video, we talked a little bit about Kamaru Usman's title reign, how it's a little bit, I don't want to say padded, but I will say padded. Kind of exposed that he's really fought three guys during his title reign: Colby, Masvidal, and Gilbert Burns. And Colby and Masvidal just don't have many wins good wins under their name. Oh, excuse me. Sparkling water getting to me. But let's say if Colby Covington gets this title shot after, so let's just, I would assume if Leon wins, they would give Leon Colby. If Kamaru wins, do they do the trilogy with Colby? And he's already down 0-2? Like, what's the point in that? Like, I can see the storyline because obviously everybody loves that beef between them. But at the same time, bro, we've already seen it twice. He's already lost to him twice. So why are you getting another shot? There's other guys that you could give a shot at the title. But a big point that I made when I made that video was Colby Covington got both of his title shots after beating a guy who was on 2-fight losing streak. So he beat Robbie Lawler, who had lost 2 straight before he fought Colby, lost to Colby. Colby wins, gets the first Kamaru title shot. And then after that, he fights Tyron Woodley, who was on a 2-fight losing streak. He beats Tyron Woodley, gets the second title shot. The same thing would happen in this one. He fights George Masvidal. George was on a 2-fight losing streak, and he would get another title shot if that is the case. But, bro, we got to, Colby is so damn smart, and 2, you can't blame Colby. You can't blame Colby. If you just sit out for that long and you can still work your way to a title by just sitting out and not losing, or at least, not doing anything too bad. I mean, he has that, the street brawl as an excuse for why he hasn't been active, but that's been a really big theme throughout his career. He's just not that active. He'll take fights that he knows he's going to win. He's really only going to take 5-round fights because he knows he probably needs those 5 rounds to break his opponent and win. So you can't blame him for not really taking any fights that he doesn't need to take. If he's going to get title shots by just sitting out, and beating guys on 2-fight losing streaks, I would do it too. But, bro, like, there's other dudes. And I've heard Colby is supposed to be fighting Bilal, or there's rumors about that. I think that would be that would be a good fight for Bilal and for Colby. I think giving Bilal's been fighting dudes he doesn't need to fight. Like, let's just be real. He's fought Vicente Luque, who was below him. He fought Sean Brady, who was undefeated below him. A killer. Like, he's fighting guys he doesn't really need to fight. He's just being active. So I think he deserves a really big fight. And I think a Colby fight would be perfect. Colby tested against another good wrestler. That needs to happen before Colby gets to the title. He needs to win at least one more fight before he fights for a title. I don't think he's ever so deserving of even fighting Leon. Yeah, I know that the story that is there with Kamaru, but he's already lost to him twice. Like, if Kamaru wins and beats Leon and doesn't retire, that's another thing we'll talk about. But if he doesn't retire, then, bro, Leon versus Colby, I just don't see it, bro. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you would probably do... God, I'd hate to say if Gilbert beats George, you could give Gilbert the title shot, because that's not really... It's kind of the same thing. But, man, I don't know. I mean, Gilbert's been a lot more active. Let's just be honest. He fought Khamzat, fought Neil Magny, and then would fight George Masvidal. Magny and Masvidal, not that great. He stepped up to the plate and fought Khamzat, though. I think he deserves something for that. He deserves something for that because it was a great fight. And he wanted to run it back with Khamzat, which is totally fine. I would have loved that too. But it seems like Khamzat's moving up to 185 as well. So Khamzat's kind of out of the picture. But, bro, if Colby Covington gets another title shot off of beating a guy who had lost 2 straight, that just goes to show you, like, it doesn't even matter what the hell you do if you're a welterweight. Like, these guys just don't fight each other. They just don't fight each other. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. And I guess we can get into the card then. And we can talk about the main event. The main event, I can't wait for it. As you can see on in the background there, got the Leon head kick versus Kamaru poster-ish thingy. Fucking insane moment. The best moment, I think, in all of sports, at least one that I have witnessed live, watched live, and I'm like, holy fuck, did that happen? I couldn't sleep for a day. I don't think I went to bed that night, and then for the next probably month, every day I would think about that. I'd be like, did that really just fucking happen? I could not believe it, bro. Kamaru Usman was about to reach GOAT status. He was about to reach the level of GSP and be like, this guy is insane. And it all switched like that. One head kick. Winning the fight. About to win the fight. Leon looked like he had just given up. Everybody thought he had just given up. And then he lands that one kick. That's MMA for you. I love it. I love it. That's why I love the sport. But this time around, the thing that makes this interesting, because Kamaru Usman will tell you, a lot of other people will tell you, Kamaru Usman was winning. I mean, he won 3 out of the 4 rounds, was about to win the 4th, 4 out of 5 rounds until the head kick, and then he won the first fight pretty dominantly. So you look on paper, right? Kamaru Usman should probably win this fight pretty easily. You could call the head kick a fluke, but that brings the questions and the unknowns, and that's what makes sports amazing, is the unknowns, especially MMA. You have one guy. It's all down to one guy, and you don't know how that guy is going to go out there and perform, especially after a devastating head kick like that. You don't know. You really don't know. And he's 36 years old. He's got a lot going on in his life. He's got a daughter. He's got promotion in Africa he's trying to run up. And he's had a lot of injuries in his career, especially as of recently, the hand injuries, the bad knees throughout his entire career. The unknowns, I'm not going to say how dedicated is he right now, but how is he going to come back from that? Because the whole lead up throughout this week, from what I'm seeing, is Kamaru Usman thinks that it was a fluke. He thinks, like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be totally fine. I don't think he really puts too much stock in it, which is probably good for his sake. For his sake. But at the same time, if he doesn't put any stock in it, and Leon puts a lot of stock in it and gains a lot of confidence from that, I think you could see a different Leon Edwards going into this fight. And that's the part of the unknown with Leon Edwards. So you have the unknown of Kamaru Usman. How is he going to bounce back from that? Where is he at in his career? How healthy is he? And then you have the unknowns of Leon Edwards. Is this the breakthrough that he needed to just become this animal? That one kick? Like, I think about this, like, I was thinking about this today. With the Aljamain Sterling, when he won on the DQ with Petr Yan and got kneed in the head, and messed up his neck. He didn't win the fight, right? He won by DQ. Kind of like, I don't want to say fluke because it looked pretty intentional. But it's not like a real win in the books, right? But he's still the champion. In this case, it was a perfectly landed head kick for Leon. I don't want to say fluke, but it was a right moment, a right play at the right time at pretty much the last second, like a buzzer beater type thing. So I think about those two scenarios, how Aljo came back from that and beat Petr Yan by decision. He looked like a completely different fighter from the first fight. The circumstances were different as well because everybody was counting out Aljo, saying it was a fluke, and he wanted to come back and prove it. Came out completely differently and looked really good in that fight. In this case, there's a lot of people saying it was a fluke for Leon Edwards, but then there's a lot of people that want him to win and think he's the next big thing. So there's a lot of scenarios you could put into this, and I think you're going to get a different Leon Edwards in this fight, and I don't know that you'll get a different Kamaru Usman because I think he's that disciplined and he's that consistent, and he doesn't put too much stock into that head kick where he's just kind of come out and be Kamaru Usman. Maybe he fights a little more emotional because he wants to get this one back so much. You kind of saw that with Petr Yan. Fought a little emotional, opened himself up too much, got taken down, got his back taken, lost rounds that way. And in this fight with Usman and Edwards, I could see that playing a factor where Usman is just a little too emotional, maybe lets himself go a little bit. Edwards can get the takedowns. Edwards could get his back, like we saw in the first round. That could play a factor. But in the end, I think you're all around, I think you're going to get a better Leon Edwards. 100%. He's fighting at home. If you look at him throughout the week, he looks confident. I haven't seen him talk that much. He looks like there's nobody that can touch him. Like he has that walk that like he knows he's that guy now. And maybe the head kick was something that he needed to push him over the board and get there. That breakthrough that I was talking about. But I think you're going to get a different Leon Edwards. It's a better, more improved Leon Edwards and a possibly more emotional Kamaru Usman and a possible Kamaru Usman that's 1 foot out the door. Who knows? If he loses this fight, I find it hard to believe that if he loses this fight that he comes back. Does he really want to fight these up-and-coming guys? Like, nobody in the welterweight division wants to fight each other in the beginning. So if Kamaru Usman loses, like, who is he fighting next? Who would he fight? Is he going to wait he can't like lose and then wait a year. Then he'd be 37, a year off, 2 straight losses. I think if he loses this, I think he's done. I think he's done. If he wins, I think it'd be very hard for him to step away because you get that one back. You want to see how far you can go. At the same time, I could see him getting this one back and just wanting to end there because he has so much going on in his life and his age and his health. Like, we got to think, too. Kamaru Usman is a big boy. He is a thick boy. Weight cuts are not fun, especially when you get older, bro. I've never done one, I guess. I can't really say, but I got to believe that when you're 36 years old and you get the one back, maybe there's that part of you that's like, all right, I'm done. I can be good here. But there's also that competitor that I think Kamaru Usman is, that if he wins, he's going to want to test his luck and see. It could come down to, like, who is he going to fight next? If it's, a guy that he's fought and beaten twice, like Colby Covington, maybe he takes that one again and gets another big paycheck. But, yeah, the competitor in me that I would see in Kamaru Usman says if he wins, he fights again. If he loses, I don't think he wants to take another fight against an up-and-comer. Maybe a contender fight with Kobe again could be something, but man, interesting stuff there. I can't wait to watch it and see what goes down because there's so many unknowns. That's the best when you have a big main event like that where you have the unknowns, and even when the odds aren't even like that close. I mean, Usman's a minus 220, minus 240, so a little over a 2-1 favorite. But the unknowns about everything makes it perfect. Co-main event, Rafael Fiziev and Justin Gaethje, man. This one is just straight up violence, bro. I don't really have too much to say about this one, but I just think it's going to be pure violence. I can't wait for it. I'm most interested to see how Gaethje's chin holds up. That is the number one thing because he's been in some big wars. And we saw in his last fight against Charles, he cracked Charles a couple times. He's always going to get his. He's always going to get his, but he's always going to get hit. And when he got hit by Charles, he got dropped. And in his past, he didn't get dropped by Michael Chandler, but bro, he's always on like wobbly legs. Like he'll get hit and he just like shells up, puts his head or hands over his head, looks at the ground, waits for you to stop, and then just unleashes. Fiziev, I could see Fiziev being a little overwhelmed at the beginning and taking some shots at the beginning and kind of getting into it a little bit, getting some reads because he's a little more calculated. Gaethje's just kind of like just brawls, just throw, take it, throw. Fiziev got that like Muay Thai stance, gonna whip kicks, just look to pick you apart. So two amazing strikers, two kind of different approaches to the striking. I'm interested to see who wins and how the fight goes. I think it could probably be a war. I think Fiziev can withstand that first onslaught and drag the fight out into the later rounds, possibly get a finish in the later rounds. But man, I'm just excited for that one. The rest of this card, bro, is I don't want to say it's bad, but it's a lot of UK fighters that they wanted to throw on the card to get the UK fans excited about. Not necessarily the highest level. You got a lot of guys that have a decent amount of losses, and then you got a lot of newcomers. That are just UK guys that they're probably looking to get a win 4 in the UK, make the UK fans happy to watch. Starting, the first fight of the night, 2 women's flyweights, Veronica Hardy, Juliana Miller. Miller's a pretty big favorite. Hardy coming back after like 3 years off. It's such a weird fight, man. Like, Veronica Hardy, 27 years old. She's got 11 fights on her record. Juliana Miller's only got 4 professional fights under her record. It's her first real fight in the UFC. So we'll see how she handles the big stage because she's been fighting at the Apex on The Ultimate Fighter. Jai Herbert, Ludovic Klein. Jai Herbert's one of those guys that has a good amount of losses in the UFC, but he's a UK favorite. He's got some pretty decent following in the UK. He's a former Cage Warriors standout, 5-0 in Cage Warriors. So I think they just throw him on these London cards. That's what he fought on last year. And the first time he had to face Ilia Topuria. And then the second time they gave him a bit of a layup against Kyle Nelson. Barely beat him. Ludovic Klein, just a guy that, a strong, smaller dude. He's the favorite against Jai. We'll see how that one plays out. Looks like they gave Jai a tough first opponent in the London card, gave him an easy one in the second one, and then they're giving him a pretty solid matchup here against Ludovic Klein. Joanne Wood, I thought she retired last time, bro. I thought her last time out was about a year ago. I actually went to that fight at UFC Columbus. She lost to Alexa Grasso. She's been fighting the best of the division, so can't really knock her for her past losses. Fighting Luana Carolina, who fought exactly 1 year ago. I think that would be Sunday. It was the first London card of last year, and she got knocked out with that spinning elbow by Molly McCann. So she kind of needs a bounce-back win here in London in the same arena. So something to look for there. She's coming in at the dog. I would find it hard to believe this is not Joanne Wood's last fight. I think she probably retires after this. She's getting the card in the UK where she wants to fight, where she's from. So she's probably going to go out, and this will be her last fight, I would assume. She really has nothing to fight for at this point. Pretty sure she kind of announced her retirement last time and just didn't follow through with it. Maybe she got the opportunity on this card being in the UK and she wanted to take it, but she's the favorite, interestingly. Jake Hadley, Malcolm Gordon. Jake Hadley, training partner of Leon Edwards out of Birmingham. Big favorite in this one against Malcolm Gordon, who got fed to the wolves against Makayev in his last fight, but looked pretty good. Or maybe Makayev just looked bad, but it looked a lot closer than the odds entailed. But, bro, I think Malcolm Gordon missed weight again today. He's probably on his way out of the UFC. He's 2-3, and his losses aren't against terrible competition. Amir Albazi, Subadirchi, Muhammad Makayev, but it seems like they're just setting him up here again. They kind of set him up against Makayev, and then they're giving him Jake Hadley, who's another big prospect of the England fighters. So it doesn't look like they're doing him too many favors. Christian Leroy Duncan making his debut, another Englishman who they're looking to get on this card, making his debut from Cage Warriors, 7-0 in Cage Warriors, fighting Dusko Todorovic, another guy. I look at these matchups, man, and it looks completely like the English fighters that are either fairly new to the UFC or maybe need a win are getting set up against guys that are either making their debut or guys that are out of the UFC. Like, Dusko Todorovic is 2-3 in the UFC, 3-3 in the UFC, but his wins are to Jordan Wright, Makai Pitolo, and Daquan Townsend, who are all out of the UFC. So, I don't really see him getting this one done against Christian Leroy Duncan, who has looked pretty good in Cage Warriors. It should be an exciting fight, though. Both guys, pretty exciting fighters to watch. Lerone Murphy, they matched up. I was interested to see this because they matched up Lerone Murphy and Nathaniel Wood, who are both English fighters, to fight each other on this card, and then Nathaniel Wood pulls out with the injury, and Gabriel Santos steps in, making his debut at undefeated record of 10-0. Leon Murphy undefeated as well. He's got the draw, though. Interesting because Lerone Murphy's been off for like a year and a couple months. And then Gabriel Santos, he's looked okay in the LFA, but a couple late second round finish and a third round finish. I've watched him on film. He looks like an all action guy, so it should be a fun fight. But another Englishman who's been in the UFC, he's like 4 fights, and then they're setting him up against a guy who's making his debut. Makayev, 8-0, one of the biggest prospects, especially in the flyweight division, and then fighting a UFC newcomer, Jafel Filio, kind of setting him up again there. So this is just a very common pattern on this card. You got the UK fighters versus a guy making his debut or a guy that's just out of the UFC. Same thing here in the next one. Sam Patterson, UK fighter, making his debut, 6'3" for 155 lightweight. So Jalen Turner's got some competition for the tallest fighter in the lightweight division, fighting Yanal Ashmos, who's making his debut, won his fight on the PFL Challenger Series, but didn't get signed. So what does that tell you? Like, if the PFL doesn't sign him on the Challenger Series and they're getting this 6'3" prospect in the UK making his debut, want to give him a little layup maybe? Yeah, possibly. Chris Duncan fighting Omar Morales. Chris Duncan, all action, man. Fighting out of Scotland. And same thing here, bro. Same thing here. Making his debut, fighting Omar Morales, who's lost 2 straight. And it's not really a layup because Omar Morales is okay. Like, his losses in the UFC aren't too bad. But Chris Duncan, it should be a fun fight. We'll leave it at there. Jack Shore going up to 145 after his first loss against Makwan Amirkhani. The Finnish man who's on a losing, I don't want to say losing streak because he won that one against Mike Grundy, but he's 1-4 in his last 5. He's always on these cards, man. You just throw him on these cards. People love him. He's one of the only Finnish fighters in the UFC fighting Jack Shore, who's a big prospect and moving up in weight. So I'm interested to see how this goes for Jack Shore because he's a taller guy for 135, but at the same time, he's not like super ripped. And I saw him at the weigh-ins today. I'm like, you don't look like if you saw him at a gym, you wouldn't be like, yeah, that guy fights in the UFC. Like, based on his physique, he's not the most chiseled man. Marvin Vettori, Roman Dolidze. I'm pretty excited to watch this one. Roman Dolidze, 3 straight cashes as an underdog, and he's an underdog here going against Vettori, who's just the Iron Man, bro. Like, the complete Iron Man. I find it hard to believe that Dolidze could finish him, but if anybody can, it's probably Dolidze. Big power on the feet, great BJJ skills. It'd be pretty nuts if he pulled this one off, make it 4 straight. Jennifer Maia, Casey O'Neill, women's flyweight here. I think really the appeal to this fight would be how can Casey O'Neill bounce back after a year off from that ACL tear. Undefeated prospect. I guess moving up in the contender realm in the flyweight division. So she's been off for a year. With a good performance here, she could propel herself right back into that title talk. Gunnar Nelson, Brian Barberena. Can Gunnar Nelson get the takedowns? Probably. Most people can take down Brian Barberena. Can he finish him with the sub? Probably. Gunnar Nelson, really good BJJ. We'll see how that one goes. If he can't get the takedowns, it gets interesting. Then we talked about Gaethje Fiziev and Leon and Kamaru. Man, I'm just excited about this card. So 1 p.m. Eastern time for the prelims. I think main card starts at like 6 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. Eastern. I could be wrong, but either way, I'll be tuning in. once the prelims start. And I'm probably going to do the live stream for the main card on here. So we'll be talking the fights while I'm watching them. If you want to tune in while we're doing that, give the little play-by-play, talk about the fights, get a little reaction, all that good stuff. Other than that, those are kind of my last thoughts before UFC 286. Talked a little bit about Colby, the future of the welterweight division, what's next for them. And, man, we will see. We'll have a lot of answers after tomorrow night. So I guess not late tomorrow night, but late enough. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about it after once we have some answers. But, yeah, if you want the bets, link is in the description. As always, at HeyJaiPicks on all the social medias. If you're watching here, drop a like, drop a subscription to support the channel. Hopefully looking to be doing this a lot more, and we can get some people in here. We can talk some fights, talk a little bit about what's going on in the UFC, what's going on in the card, everything of that sort. Other than that, we'll see you tomorrow on the live stream, and we'll probably put out a couple clips on the old TikTok and the old Instagram. Appreciate y'all for the support. It's been great over the past ever since I've been doing it, but especially over the past couple months. It's been awesome. I really appreciate it. Everyone, all the likes, all the comments, the good and the bad, everything like that. And hope to keep this going. We got a big next 3 or 4 weeks coming up. Next weekend, I'll be in the VIP of UFC San Antonio, so I'm looking to bring that experience to every one of my followers. Appreciate y'all. As always, HeyJaiPicks. We'll see you in the next stream or video.